Hey class, this is Rachel Sloan, and I am going to talk to you about how I would use Scratch in my classroom. After experimenting with it for a little bit, I decided that I think it would be great to utilize this during the first week of school with my students, and it would be kind of an introductory activity as well as just a get to know you activity as well as kind of an intro to narrative writing. So the standard that I'll be focusing on is the composition standard for 4th grade, and it is C4.3, and it's composing narratives using writing and digital resources to develop real or imagined experiences or multiple events or ideas using effective technique, descriptive details, and clear sequences. So this standard also focuses on that students need the opportunity throughout the year to utilize digital resources, in collaboration with their writing. So I thought this would be great to use. What I'll plan on doing in the classroom is actually having the students write out their little intro paragraphs first. I'll probably require 3 paragraphs and give the students a bunch of different topics to choose from, and they'll choose one topic for each of their 3 paragraphs that they want to write to introduce themselves to their classmates. And I'll be using this as an introductory activity for the school year, but I'll also use it as an intro for narrative writing. That's the first writing piece that I go into at the beginning of the year, and I use the narrative as the pre and the post writing and the post writing piece for their writing portfolio. So this will be a good segue into that, I think. It took me a while to kind of figure out how this worked, but essentially what I'm going to do with the Scratch page after I've reviewed their introductory writings, I want them to use this to make a visual representation, an animated visual of their narrative writing, of their short narrative writing. So I've actually already created one that I'll show you that I would want theirs to kind of, reflect or be similar to. So something that I thought was really neat that you could do, so I went down here and picked a background, and I started, see if I can find, I think the school's really neat, but I think I started mine here looking like it's a library. And then they have all these different characters that you can use, which I found that you can actually upload a picture of yourself. And so I took a screenshot of a picture of myself and saved it to the folder. And so it's importing it, so then it will actually have my face on the screen, which I thought was really neat. So if I really took the time to play around with this, I could take screenshots of myself actually in different places or in different poses that would work well with the background. So that's just something if I is putting a little bit more time into creating those pictures for the images on here. I'm going to change the size a little bit, and I'll just center myself in the middle of the screen. So I'm going to start here, and I'm just going to name it introductory narrative, and I'd have students attach their names to it. But first I would just want students to introduce themselves, and so I'm just going to start, when I click, I'm going to probably going to take me a while to figure out. There it is. I'm going to have my character say hello, and then I found that it's good to wait a second in between saying things, and then I wanted to say, introduce myself. My name is Mrs. Sloan. Is Mrs. Sloan. I am going to tell you a few things about myself. Okay, and then, through this process, you all are going to understand and learn how to do the rest of it. So I'm not going to show the rest of the coding example here for mine, because I'll show you the full thing in just a minute that I've already created. But what I would basically do would, after I would check the students' short narrative writings, I would give them the opportunity to, play around with this and create this to share with the students to introduce themselves. And, I would, of course, like we just talked about in one of our recent modules, I would go over Scratch with them and I would talk to them about the different features of it and how they can best use it in order to create this representation of their narrative writing. And I would go over all that. Then I would give them the opportunity to work in it and to create their product. And so that's my plan. I think the students will really enjoy it. And I'll just quickly show you just the sample that I worked on. Let's see. Okay, it's right here, and I'll just show you what it looks like real quick. All right, so here it is. And this is just, like I said, I would have the students pick 3 topics out of a list that I gave them, 1 topic for each paragraph. I just did 2 topics, but I would conclude with a 3rd paragraph about maybe goals that I would have for the school year or something like that. But here it is. I'm going to start by telling you about a few places I visited this summer. I was thankful to be able to visit my sister and my parents, who both live in Florida. First, I visited my parents in Carabel Beach, Florida, and then I visited my sister in Jacksonville Beach, Florida. They live about 3.5 hours away from each other, and I was able to spend some time with them at the pool and the beach, and we had a wonderful time. Next, I wanted to tell you about a few of my favorite things. A few of my favorite foods are mashed potatoes, fettuccine alfredo, and fried rice. I love all of those very much. My favorite colors are teal and coral. And my favorite animal is a panda bear. Those are just a few of my favorite things. Okay, so that was the end of my sample that I just wanted to show you guys, and that's about it. So I think that this activity would be a great way for them to incorporate technology while working on meeting that standard C 4.3, getting a good start to the narrative writing and using the digital resource as, to go along with the introductory activity to introduce themselves to their classmates.